listening to the Energy is Love podcast.
Energy is Love.
The Energy is the Love podcast.
The Energy is Love podcast.
Energy is Love.
The Energy is Love podcast.
The podcast for the universe.
The Energy is Love podcast.
Now I am the master.
Let's do that faster. I'm going to do it faster. You ready?
No.
Go.
Now I am the master.
Here we are.
Where did I get that from?
Now I am the master?
Yeah.
I don't know. Where did you get it from?
Guess.
I don't even know.
I feel like you should know. Where did I get that from?
I don't know.
It's something you are borderline obsessed with. Not as much as you were, but you were really strongly obsessed with.
What's the sounds? Are we touching something?
I don't hear the sounds.
Can't hear
Or is it because now I am the master?
What is that from? Tell me, what's it from? Oh, it's on the cards. I don't know if I don't remember that part in the show.
I don't either. I've never really seen that on the cards until now.
Can you hear that?
Oh,
That's
it's
what it
me.
is.
I'm moving the table.
The table.
Okay. Nobody move.
Nobody
What's
else would have.
happening?
Nobody else will have heard that.
Yeah? Then can
Yeah.
you let it go?
No,
Okay.
no, I won't be able to focus on anything
Back
else.
to hovering.
Where you can
It's like
still
at
touch
a
the
public
table.
restroom. You just hover. You
Look,
don't
I touched
actually
the
sit.
table.
I touched the... What was that noise?
up. I don't know what it is.
Wait, do you hear that?
Now try.
Oh my gosh.
Now try. Oh my God, we're totally gonna need a new fucking table.
A new table?
Today's a day, folks.
That's not where I put my attention.
I know. Today is a day.
I put it somewhere else.
Where's your attention? Intention.
It's not on a new table.
What is it on?
I'm not going to tell you, but it wasn't on a new table.
Tell me.
No.
Let's hear it.
Now I am the master.
Now I am the master.
That's my new catchphrase.
The
That's gonna
power
be
of
my
the
mo-
dark side.
Oh, fuck. That is the dark side deck, huh?
Yeah.
You know what it is? What it is? Look at red.
Red.
We're
God.
red and black. We matched the cards. You and
Look
me.
at that.
You and me.
Look at that. You and me.
You and me.
We knew that though.
It's the dark side cards, but
We're gonna totally have to get a new table.
okay. Do you want to do it right now?
No, I don't.
Are you sure? Do you want me to go get the massage table and we
Yeah.
can just set it up real fast?
No, we don't need it. What we're gonna do eventually is put everything over on a different little desk,
Okay.
and then nothing audio wise is going to be touching the table. That's what I need to do. But they don't need to know that, and we're not concerned with that right now.
Nothing audio is going to be touching the table.
Correct. As far as cables go, it's just the cables is the problem. What the hell are you frowny frowns for?
No reason.
Okay.
I love you. I'm confused.
So is everybody else listening. By the way, folks, this is
He's
the
not
Energy
anal
is Love
anymore with the
podcast.
audio.
Not at all. Only on days when I feel like I'm out of control. Only on days when it feels like there's a bunch of stuff that I can't control.
I will give you all the grace you need.
And then I become very meticulously anal about everything. Like, what's that noise?
I breathed.
There's a
in.
leaf blowing in the backyard.
I inhaled.
It's distracting.
I was waiting to exhale.
I can hear the dog breathing downstairs.
Probably can.
People that are listening,
You.
fans of the podcast, Barb specifically, we love you, Barb.
Mwah.
On
I kissed.
earlier previous episodes, we have 3 daughters, and each one of them has been on the podcast before. 2 of those daughters
Are we going to talk about this?
just real briefly.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about it a lot because I don't want to.
I don't think you should
Okay.
because I don't want, like, this is my fear. I don't want any kind of light bulb, like any spotlight on them until they're safely where they're at.
Okay.
And I don't want, like, I feel like it's a protection thing.
We have some daughters. End of sentence. That works for me.
It might be silly, but I'm like,
No,
No.
You're not silly at all.
I think, well, I don't care if you think I am.
I think you're amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were all prepped and ready for this show to some extent.
Yeah.
Are you giving me a sign with your lip? Is there something on my lips?
No.
Holy fuck,
Do
what's on
that.
my lip?
It's
Do I
fine.
have the salt?
I think it was this all. I was trying to be like Jesus.
You could just tell me.
Well, I didn't want to be like, hey, there's something on his lip.
Instead, the whole episode, you're just sitting there making motions
You
with your mouth.
can read the
Did you forget we have a camera?
That's why I was trying to be careful, because otherwise I would have been like, but I was like, they can catch it too. So if I'm just like, if I'm just, I was smooth.
You are smooth operator.
Mm-hmm.
So, episode 222. Ooh,
Is that what this is?
It is.
Ooh,
It's 222.
dang.
It's a 6. No, wait. Yeah, 246. That's right.
I'm.
I can do simple math.
So this is going to come out, episode 222, on the new moon and the solar eclipse.
Really?
Yes.
Fuck, this is an important episode.
This
We
is.
didn't even realize it. Shit. We better use it.
Game on.
I was going to talk about dumb stuff.
Why we can't?
Now we got to get real.
I know. Are you
the
ready?
Cards down, and
You've.
what should we talk about? Tell people the importance of this episode, Stephanie.
It is transformative.
What's the numerological importance and significance to 222? And go.
I can look up the actual number. I don't know what it is,
What
but
does it mean to you?
what does it mean to me? Well, just when you have the sequencing of numbers, when you have numbers that are repetitive, it is a sign that the universe is with you and you are on the right path.
Do you believe that?
I do, but I'm fucking panicking right now.
I'm not. As my toothpick falls from my mouth, everything's fine.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially when you can tie it in together with multiple things like that. That's pretty cool.
That'll be a big day for us then, huh?
That's why things got moved to the 15th. Just saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not going to say more than that, but.
Well, it wasn't on Monday anyways. Monday's the 13th, isn't it?
No, I think Monday's the 14th.
You're right.
I'm pretty sure.
You're very sure.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, shit.
Are you looking at the calendar?
I understand I can just hang out longer now. Because I'm
Yeah.
like, how did that make sense in your brain? But I wasn't going to challenge it because I thought you needed that. And now I'm like, oh, okay, all the things.
All the things are going to work out perfectly
Yes,
fine.
it is.
Turns out right where we're supposed to be as always.
Right?
So in the shower this morning, before we came up here to record, we were talking about intuition and trusting your gut and your belly
Yes.
and the importance and the significance of said thing.
Yes.
Can you give me, I'm going to give you some examples of when I've trusted my gut and my intuition and done what I felt was necessary
Okay.
or where it was taking me or leading me to go.
Okay.
Let me think of an example now. I had some earlier. I don't remember though.
Okay.
No, I'm on the spot.
I know it sucks, huh?
Mhm.
A little bit of heartburn coming up.
Yeah. I think
Always,
us,
ever.
No, I think us meeting is definitely that,
Mm-hmm.
right? There was a lot of things leading up to when you and I met
Mm-hmm.
that were things that I kind of had to take a leap of faith in regards to
Me too.
and make some hard decisions in life and trust my gut. And that led up to meeting you. What else? I'm trying to think of recent stuff. I don't know. I can't think of anything off the
Boy.
top of my head.
Fucking on it today.
We really are.
This is an important episode, and we're like,
We're squirreling it bad.
So I was talking about that on my call last, like squirrel brain. It's like I'm massively in squirrel brain.
Yeah.
I'm having a very, very hard time staying focused. And it's not an avoidance. It's absolute removal of thought.
Mm.
It is just gone and someplace else.
That's how I felt today.
Yeah.
There's times where it is avoidance. There's times where you can feel that it is chaos that is spinning because of stress and anxiety. So it's avoiding whatever it is that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, it's on your mind. You're like, oh, just choosing not to look at it.
Yeah.
And
But this morning it was like just spacey.
yeah.
Totally just out there in the cosmos bouncing around. Oh, that reminded me. I wanted to
Same.
talk about alien stuff, but probably not on this episode. There's a movie we have to watch first.
There is?
Yeah.
Have you already watched it?
Not yet.
Okay.
It's a documentary. So
On?
I was telling you the other day about alien stuff.
Yes.
And on one of Rogan's recent episodes, he interviews the guy that made this documentary, as well as a old school long-term alien guy that's been around since the 50s and 60s.
I think he already did this episode. I think I already listened to this episode.
This is another one.
Is it the same people?
Nope. Different people, different documentary.
I feel like it's the same exact thing.
It's not.
Okay. Okay, excuse me. That's why he went to Spotify, so he can like reproduce the same things.
Rehash the same episodes.
And act like it's brand new information.
No, so the documentary we're going to be watching is called The Phenomenon. Phenomenon. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll watch that and then we'll review it on the show.
Okay. Or when are we going to watch it?
Fuck, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe tonight. Maybe we'll watch it right now.
You know, just because all of this is going to happen is where it's 222. This might be significant for us. It doesn't mean that it's going to be significant
for anybody else.
For anybody else. So maybe the pressure of us doing like, oh, it's got to be a big episode. No, it doesn't.
Yeah, you're right.
We have the significance of it.
Yeah, and the significance probably isn't right now. It's probably on that actual day.
It's probably on the actual day, and we're going to be like, oh,
mm-hmm.
You.
Then we'll see. Yeah.
So that just like pressure off.
Maybe just a mental note for the people listening. This is episode 222 of the Energy is Love podcast.
Yeah. Maybe this is their sequence of numbers. And then, oh yeah, it's a new moon. Oh yeah, there's a solar eclipse.
Solar or lunar?
It's a solar, I believe. I'm fairly certain it's a solar. I did write it down. Stand by.
Copy.
Stop it. I heard it and I was choosing not to. Okay, well, hold on.
We should do an episode in our cop dispatcher talk.
I don't remember that language. Hold on, I went to... Oh, yes, it is a solar. I wrote it down.
Solar eclipse?
Solar.
10-4.
1332.
One of the things that we do that's really funny, actually, at least for us, nobody else is privy to it because it's only us in our
We're
house.
We're going to look like dorks.
There's a lot of things that we look like dorks on this show.
That's true.
But
we embrace it.
When we are talking about a certain topic that we don't want our 14-year-old son to be aware of, we will spell things out using the
phonetic
alphabet. Yeah.
Do you know what should have told me that your level of stress was beyond anything today, and that your level of stress and your disconnect is because I tried to spell a 4-letter last name phonetically, and you were like, my brain. That should have been my clue of like, put your feet up. Let me, like, what do you need? Yeah. And I just did what you asked and walked away. Like, that makes no sense the way you're choosing to do it. But yes, there you go. You okay?
Am I okay?
I want to like love on you now. I'm like, you need to.
Yeah, I think I'm okay.
I'm always going to ask you if you needed something.
Phonetically, they'll never know.
Do you require a Bravo Juliet? And I'm pretty sure they caught that anyways.
10-4.
I didn't say it was
4.
A little stress reduction. Fill it channel through. Just let it go.
We were going to talk about sex on this episode.
We were.
Yeah.
But I don't know that we are.
Who knows what the fuck we're going to talk about?
I need some water.
Drink it up. I'm drinking beer already, and it's only 1-ish.
Well, we only have 2.
For now.
So you get the 2.
That doesn't mean we didn't get to go buy more. We've recently started imbibing again when it comes to the edibles.
Once.
That's enough.
We did it once. It's a new thing.
Well, it's been a while. It's been a while since we jumped on the old green train. But I really enjoyed it.
I do too.
Really enjoyed it.
I realized that you know Alice in Wonderland, the cartoon?
I'm familiar.
Where like she takes a bite of something and she gets big or she gets small. Yes. And then she realized that it was too much. And so all she had to do, so she didn't go massively huge or massively tiny. She just had to lick it. That's how I feel like I am with it. I can't take a bite. I can be like, oh, and then that's enough for me.
Yeah.
I can only have a
little bit. You just
gotta
lick the edible.
And I'm good. It's funny.
You do just need a sliver.
It's so funny.
Just a dab will do ya.
It's because dab's a thing. I don't know how much a dab is. Dab might be a lot. I know dab's a thing, but we don't do dabs.
No.
or whatever the proper. I feel
terminology is.
like if Stevie was listening to this one, which I know she's not, that she'd be going,
Yeah. I feel like any of our children would listen to any episode and just sit there and go,
Well, I think some of them don't know what that means.
Some of our kids?
Yeah.
No,
I don't think
guarantee all of our kids do. With
to that
maybe
level.
the exception of Asher. But that's okay.
it's all right.
Yeah.
I don't need to be. I'm fine with being. It's nice because it lasts a long time. If I just need a little,
Oh, yeah.
I'm not embarrassed by that. It's not a thing. Lightweight. Damn right.
Yeah, why would
Thank
you be?
you. Because they use it as an insult when you're younger.
Yeah, but we're not
It's like
young.
they teach you. Fuck off. I'm still young.
We don't have a group of peers that are,
That's not true. Stevie makes fun of me for it. She
'Cause
makes
she's
fun
young.
of me. That's true. Stop
Yeah.
making fun of
We
me.
don't have a bunch of peer pressure going on
I
right
do.
now.
I'm like, she's like,
I'm not sitting there like calling you out and being like, come on, Steph, take more.
sometimes, yeah, you are. You're like this
No.
much. I'm like, no, it's smaller. Sorry. Like, you look at me like, serious? I'm like, yeah,
No,
smaller.
I don't do that ever. No, you're perfectly fine when it comes to the use of marijuana that you find appropriate for you.
Yes.
It's different for everybody.
Exactly. And
And I
it's
would
very
much
little for
rather-
me and it's
yeah.
sporadic. There's nothing wrong with that.
I would much rather have you have an enjoyable experience than a not enjoyable experience. We know what those are like.
Yes. Don't try and do it on a road trip with a migraine.
Yeah.
It does not help.
Not the best idea.
Does not help. I'm nauseous. That just made me go, oh.
Yeah, that was your husband's idea for you as well.
It was a good idea.
I should have thought better.
It's for pain, right? And
I
that
did
was
not
in
trust
a
my intuition that day.
massive amount of pain.
Yeah,
And it,
not good.
oh God, I'm really getting nauseous remembering it.
Let's think about something
The
else. then.
body memory, I'm having a BMM.
Yeah.
The body memory is still very much alive in me. No, I don't like it. that
I have to
much.
apologize
Do you?
to you.
Do it now.
I'm sorry. There was something
real?
that I wanted to mention to you, whether or not it was something that you wanted to talk about on this show.
Are you apologizing for bringing it up?
I'm not going to bring it up.
Okay.
Kind of not. But I wanted to touch base with you before we recorded to see if it was something that you wanted to talk
And
about.
you didn't. Are you
And I
going to ask
didn't.
me live?
I am. But I'm going to ask
Are you going to use it with phonetics
Yes.
that nobody else fucking knows,
Nobody
by
will
the
be
way?
able to understand it. Okay? And I'm going
Okay.
to use it in code that nobody else will be able to know.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
You're already nervous?
I am so nervous. I'm so nervous.
I have to figure out how to ask you things without making you nervous, because if I give you the precursor caveat of here comes
You
the thing,
build up the
Yeah.
stress and the hype.
that happens all the time though, not even when we're recording.
You're like, I want to know if you're drinking enough water. And I'm like,
You're like, I have a question for you. Oh shit, it's a question. Like, just because it's a question doesn't
I'm
mean it's a
fucking
big
scared. Just get to it. Jesus.
deal. I have a question for you.
What?
Fuck, it's a question.
It's because it's always like,
That means I'm going to have to come up with an answer. It's very easy.
do it.
Romeo, Oscar, Papa, Echo.
Oh. I've already fucking I'm nervous. Thinking I have publicly in a small public.
Yeah, not
but
on the
It
podcast.
was still a public. Mention that.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I think it's just because all the places that I thought you were gonna go, that wasn't it. And I'm like, whew,
Yeah. Should I
Sure.
spell some more things?
no. No.
Well, maybe we'll get to that then, if that's something that you're okay.
So you're not
talking
even
about on the
sure?
podcast.
You just did that to torture me?
No, not at all. I want to talk about it.
Are you sure?
I am sure.
Okay. Well, what are we going to talk about now?
I don't know.
I think I'm breaking out in hives. Jesus. No, I'm not. Pop.
What should we talk about?
I
You have your journal up here this
think
time?
I do have my journal up here.
You've got everything.
I have everything.
You're in prep. You're prepped. You're ready to go.
I think I am going to get my eyebrows done.
That'll be fun.
I am. I am in communication with a lady who is out here. She's in Twilla. And all of her work is really amazing. And she's offering a holiday sale and is also up to possible of, well, I don't know if I can announce that. So I'll just say I'm getting ready to consider getting these so I don't have to paint them on.
Yeah.
I'm really excited.
I'm so glad.
I think I'm going to do it.
Do it.
I think so. But I'm really scared still.
No, don't be scared.
I'm scared.
Fear.
It is fear.
Let's talk about fear.
It's
baby.
fear because I don't want to it's essentially a tattoo
Yeah.
on your face.
That's a big deal.
It's a big deal. So it's not like something that I can cover it up. It's on my face.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
And say she sneezes. Achoo!
Yeah, that's
And then
probably not a good idea.
I'm permanently surprised. I'm like,
You know what I think?
Can you? I'm sorry. I just can
You're
see
okay.
that happening. I'm like, you better make a match. It's just like,
Yeah, let's hope that doesn't happen.
I hope not.
I will still love your face regardless.
So I'm excited.
Fear.
Yeah, fear.
So
Yeah.
yesterday I was talking with my buddy Mike, who you know.
Mhm.
Mike was on the podcast back in the day as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember what episode it was. It was a while ago.
I'm not going to look.
And we were talking about fear
Mm-hmm.
and moving through life with fear.
Mm-hmm.
The context of our conversation, I was talking about how I have in the past, and it's still not just in the past, it's still a present day thing, but I'm super self-conscious about my body image and how I feel about myself and the way that I look and all that kind of stuff. And oftentimes that not even anxiety, that subconscious, conscious way that I feel about myself will prohibit me from doing things. And the underlying thing of all of that is really fear. It's not necessarily my body image or the way that I see myself or how I feel about myself physically, but it's really the fear underneath all of that that keeps me from doing things sometimes. And it's not all the time. It's far less than it ever has been before in my life, but the fear of that often stops me from doing things.
Mm-hmm.
And fear itself will stop me from doing things a lot of the time. And so you and I were talking a little bit about fear today.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, how do you move through life with fear and in conjunction with fear? And at times, I think working with fear, but not get frozen and or stuck in fear.
Not get frozen and or stuck.
Yeah, because that's common, right?
Mm-hmm.
You and I both do
It's
that.
my default. I have a whole couple of pages on that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
where you just get stuck and you don't move and you stay there for an indeterminate amount of time. And I'm not just talking about you. I'm not saying you do that. I'm saying people in general.
Yeah, I wasn't feeling singled out.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty common.
It is really common. So what do you think? What's your go-to tactic?
What's my go-to tactic
Mhm.
to not get stuck in it?
Mm-hmm.
Lick an edible. It ebbs and flows. There's days and sometimes weeks and months that my go-to tactic is, nope, I'm frozen.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And then there's other times when I'm clearer and I can just see it and I'm like, whew, it's okay. I also do the thing sometimes where I try and tell myself I'm not nervous, I'm excited.
Just like as a way to trick your brain, or?
Well, there is a thing that says your body, it's the exact same hormone that is released when you are nervous and excited. The only difference is what you tell your brain it is. And so that's how, but your body reacts the same way. It feels the same. It's the same hormone, but you decide what it is. Is it excitement or is it nerves? So if you're already feeling that exact same thing and it's fear, it's that nerves, not like fear, but it's like nervous. You're kind of scared, but of action, of moving, not of bear chasing you. That's different. If you can tell your brain, I'm excited, I'm excited, I'm excited, then you can help to shift that. It starts to lean to where you're telling it because it's the same thing. Only you start to believe that it's this because that's the only difference is your perception.
Okay.
I know I'm making you I'm making your face hurt.
Okay, I'm
You're like,
following
what the
you.
Hold on. My brain's trying to figure out what to tell myself.
If you really only listen to this podcast, you're missing out. There's like a whole other layer to this show if you watch it. So go to
It
YouTube
really
and watch
is.
it. But
You
go ahead.
should. So sometimes I try that, but more often than not, I remember to tell people that as opposed to remembering to practice that. So that is a really good tidbit I have that I fail to remember for myself.
Yeah.
So hopefully the more I say it, the more I can start to embody it.
That's a good trick.
Yeah.
A good tip, I should say.
And the Elizabeth Gilbert one,
Mm-hmm.
which is the fear's coming with you no matter what. So you can let it, she gave a long explanation that I told you earlier, but I'm just doing the condensed. Fear can come along for the ride, can have it say, but it doesn't get to choose and it doesn't get to drive. So I know that that's not exact, but the intent is there.
Don't just stare at me, Jan.
I'm fucking forgetting to breathe. So that's mine. What's yours? What are you going to do? What do you do with fear? I passed the buck too.
Forgetting to breathe.
I
I was thinking about how when we started recording up here as opposed to outside that we did all summer long, I didn't like it because initially I was embarrassed about my weight and the camera angle and the way that it all worked out. And I just feel like I'm this Jabba the Hutt sitting here on camera. And I had a lot of fear about all of that. And I had to just grab a hold of that fear and move along with it. I had to bring it with me, right? It didn't suddenly melt away and change. Every episode I still am self-conscious about it, but I'm still perpetually, continually moving through that fear with the fear, right? Like I said, it hasn't gone anywhere. And I didn't let it stop me from this experience and from not just doing the podcast, but recording it and everything like that. And it's a stupid fear, right? Intellectually, I know that it's not necessary. I know it's not needed. It's not like we have all the YouTube comments coming in talking about my weight or anything like that. But it's still there, but I move with it. And so I think a lot of times my go-to is just that, like choosing to still move even with the fear. And that's almost kind of my default. And yes, I do get stuck in my fear. Excuse me. So I blow right into the mic. I do get stuck in my fear a lot and I get frozen and then I don't move. But it's oftentimes in regards to like, oftentimes it's like, not just in regards to things with you, but like more important, deeper things that have more meaning and significance. I mean, the state or the fate of the outcome of this podcast isn't, it's important to us and it's, all these kind of different things. It's a big deal, but it's just not that big of a deal at the end of the day. Whereas you and me and our relationship and our connection and our love and all the stuff in regards to our kids and all the fear that I have surrounding our kids oftentimes keeps me frozen instead of, pushing through and moving with the fear simply because it's just a lot heavier. It's a lot heavier and it seems like a lot more important, even though it might not necessarily be. It just feels like it. So I don't know. I think awareness of it helps me. I think also continuing to do it in small ways and pushing through with it and carrying it on with me and using the fear at times is a benefit. And then, at some point, I think I'm forgetting to breathe as well, Steph. At some point, at least for me, I've been able to look at my life and be like, I've done enough things and I've done enough hard things that I've realized there's not really the worst that could happen. That whole idea of like, what's the worst thing that could happen? And then you go through, right? You just did it. All those things of what's the worst thing that can happen. And I've had a lot of really worse things happen. And I'm still here. And so it's like, eventually I get to the point where it's like, it's going to be okay, even if the worst things happen, because I've had the worst things happen before and I survived and I was able to continue to move on. And so have you. So I draw confidence from that, and it gives me the confidence and the ability to move with my fear. So I would say that would be my advice, is look for those things that you've kind of had the worst case scenario things happen to you, because everybody has, and realize that you survived, that it's okay. And you can keep moving on. You don't think so?
I think that's great for you.
It doesn't apply for you?
No.
Then? How come?
Well, first of all, I've realized the connection of like how I feel since we started recording. I did not want to record the videos.
Yeah.
I did not want to do that, but I'm supporting you. And
back in the day when we started doing it.
Yeah, I'm fine now. However, I always want the table hiding me. I'm trying to angle because of that. I think this is when I started painting my eyebrows again, because I had stopped, but I started doing it again. Now I'm ready to fucking tattoo my face because now I can't stand the way I look any day without
on this podcast.
Well, no, it's not just on the podcast now, but I started because I felt washed out and like I looked old. So I wanted to kind of like enhance features, and now I can't, without them. I feel like I just disappear.
Yeah.
So it's so silly. And you're like, first of all, like, what's the worst? It's like, what's the best that could happen? Ask that instead. But when you think about the things that went wrong, I'm not like, oh, I survived that. It's fine. I'm like, okay, damage control. How can I make sure that never, ever, 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 ever happens again? So I don't think, oh, it's fine. I survived it. I'm like, I'm going to do everything I can to avoid that. So that makes my fear worse.
Yeah,
that's me, not you.
I'm choking on a toothpick there. I'm not going back and replaying all the worst things that have happened.
That's what it feels like.
I mean, the worst thing that could happen is I could swallow a toothpick.
Hey, what's the best thing that could happen?
I could.
That's the question that I think you should ask.
Not swallow
What's
a
the
toothpick.
best thing? No, don't answer it. What's the best thing that could happen? What's the best thing that could happen? Put it out there.
I agree. But how often does that come to you in fear?
How does it get any better? I will overtalk my fear sometime. That's something that I've been doing lately. I will ask those questions.
Talk louder than your fear.
I will talk louder than my fear and positive things and try and bring that positive.
Does that work for you?
Sometimes you got to be louder than your fear. So yeah.
I think I do the same thing.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm talking about. Except I don't overtalk it with, what's the best thing that could happen? I overtalk it with, shit, I've already done all these fucking hard things. This is nothing. Right? It's like, look at everything that I've done already to get to this point. This is nothing.
Yeah, I don't do that.
It's silly for me to be like, oh, I can't do this thing. That's not fucking hard. Look at all these hard things that I have done up to this point.
Yeah, that works for you.
So then it's like all the confidence of like, I've come this far and I've done this many things and I've survived this many things and I've gone through this many hard, difficult things. This is nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the same thing, just from a different
you.
perspective.
Yes.
I like mine better.
I like mine better.
Well, it works for you.
It does. It does.
And it works for me. I like the idea
I
of
like that
sitting.
we have our own.
Yeah.
That we know what works for us.
I like the idea of sitting in, like in moments when I'm not kind of stuck in fear or hesitant or frozen, but in those other moments being like, what's the best thing that could happen? You know, like right now I've got some fear around some things that are future things. So they haven't even taken place and they may not take place. And that's what I do in regards to like future casting stuff.
Okay.
Is I'm like, what's the best thing that could happen in this situation?
See, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So in regards to those type of things, I just sit and create all the amazing things that can happen.
And that's where I go worst case scenario.
Yeah.
That's so freaking funny.
Yeah, that's when you're like, oh, we better watch out because a lot of this shit could happen.
And that's, and I do that. I'm going to make sure this doesn't happen. So, and I'm in it. I'm like, be positive. Just be positive. But if I can see something coming, I'm like, we're gonna avoid this.
So we have two skill sets that we both excel at, and we need to incorporate them at different time periods. Yeah. Because they're both applicable.
You're like, what's the best that could happen? It makes total sense now.
Y'all know.
That's why you also get in those situations where you're like, I've survived worse than this. I can make it through.
Yeah.
Oh my hell. That's funny. That cracks me up. I need to move this.
So maybe a little bit more
I got the chills.
when you future cast, just future cast the best stuff.
Yeah. I also try not to.
And then when you're in the thick of it, be like, shit, I've done way harder things than this.
I don't know. Maybe. I still can't do the thick of it. I'm in the thick of it is just keep swimming. Just
keep
no, I gotta be
swimming.
positive. I gotta or I start to fall. I start to fall and then I fall really hard. And there's times you just give up.
Yeah.
And then it's like, that's it. So I try. But it's funny because while I'm being really positive, I am at my full expansion of tolerance. I don't have room for anything else, even like the slightest sound. So as soon as something like disturbs my presence in any way, whether it's something else that goes wrong or a sneeze, jazz hands, it's just I'm trying so hard to hold it together at that point that it's that expansion and that scares me. I am in a very much a frozen, flighty state.
Mm-hmm.
So for now, that's what I have to do. I have to just be positive, let that space and try and hold my container as best as I can and just be positive. I can't look at, oh, I can survive this. I have to just like, whew. I fucking hate that. I don't, that's no. I've had to look at too many things in life that's like, I can survive this, or I just, is like, that just pisses me off.
Yeah, but think of it this way. You're not experiencing anything in life right now that is anywhere remotely close to the difficult things that you've had to survive in your past.
I know.
Like nothing. It's not even close, right?
I agree. You're making me mad.
So,
it doesn't go away.
I understand it doesn't go
So with it, I feel like, yeah, okay, go with your, I've survived way worse than this. Like, just because you've survived something, it doesn't, like, no.
Do you not have any strength that comes from that?
Fuck yeah, I do. I'm not going to feel it, though, right now.
Well,
No.
what
All right?
You don't
that
have
doesn't work for me.
Well,
There's
I was
too
going to
much
give
there.
you some ideas,
Sure.
but maybe at a later date
No,
on
go
next
ahead.
week's
Go ahead.
episode.
Give an idea. Give one.
It's just the simple thing of, because you're not grabbing a hold of the pain from that experience, you're grabbing hold of the strength that you survived that experience, or that you lived through that experience.
In this point in time, though, where I'm at on my journey, it's not a difference.
It's the same thing.
You're like, oh, just don't grab the pain, grab the good. No, I should have fucking thought of that. I can't. Where I'm at right now in my journey, so much of this is coming to the surface that will not work for me.
Yeah.
Because all I can feel is the pain with that. So I have to positive it. I know that I'm stronger for who I am. I know that I'm stronger because of my past. I know that it's not the things that happened. It's the fact that I did survive it is where my strength is from. I know that all of that is what makes me able to help other people that come to me, because I have this experience, because I'm not over here oblivious and thinking I know what these things feel like. I know what these things feel like.
Yeah.
But I am not. It just doesn't work for me, babe.
Well,
I don't have to make it work for me.
you don't have to make it work for you at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it's working for me.
Exactly. The method of Craig's madness does not need to work for anybody other than Craig.
Yes. And more people are going to like resonate with yours and finding the strength. And there's going to be people that are resonating for mine. And then plenty of people that are going to be like, neither of those work. This works for me. Great. Yeah. You know what works for you.
Yeah.
Use that. Don't try and model it because it works for this person. Doesn't mean that that's what's going to work for you.
Yeah. Make it your own.
Make it your own. Whatever it is.
Speaking of making it your own,
and let it evolve. What?
make our life our own,
Make our life our own.
right? No?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
What? I got a little bit of anxiety.
I know.
Make our life our own. I like it.
No, but that's a good thing, right?
Yes.
That's an important thing.
Yes,
My
it
watch
is.
is telling me that I've been inactive for an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is full of shit. I haven't been. Folks, I run all the time.
We've only been.
I'll tell my watch when I'm inactive.
Right.
It tells me. But you and I are doing that. We are making this life, the one that we're living right now, our own.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes.
So many different ways.
Yes.
You like it?
Yes.
Do you feel like you're living your life for anybody else right now?
Yes.
Who?
No comment.
Okay.
I'm still learning how to live my life fully for me.
For you.
And I am doing that more now than I ever have. And that's great.
Yeah.
But there's still... Somebody needs to quit kicking the camera.
I know. It's the producer.
Scrappy. Bad. Get out of here. I got rid of it.
That was so cute.
I don't know what the fuck's wrong.
So you're living your life more today than you ever have before.
Yes.
For yourself.
Yes,
not
for
for
myself.
other people.
Absolutely. But there is still a very, very other dominated choice that is happening.
Yeah.
But it's getting better.
So I feel like I live my life for our kids. That's the one spot that I have a hard time delineating between living my life just for myself.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of decisions and actions and choices are based off of how it will impact and affect them.
Very much so.
And then the next thing is you.
Yep. You.
And you're the bigger of the two. So I live my life and make choices based off of how it will impact and affect you more than I do the kids. And the kids are getting less and less as they grow up and whatnot, even though it's still a huge, huge, huge factor.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I'm trying to think if I could give it a number. Like, I'd like to say at least 50%, if not like 60% of the time, living my life for myself based off of my wants, my, like having that be the direction of choice and action that I take. Like living my life for myself, maybe 60% of the time. But I kind of don't think it's that high. I kind of think it's lower than that. I think it's probably more like 30%. But I don't know. There's probably times where it's 60, 70, 80, maybe even 90%. What do you think? What percentage of your life do you live for yourself?
I'm too busy looking at you right now.
Oh, don't look at me.
Oh, I'm looking. Well, at first I was like happy,
For me?
like 50, 60%. If you think about it, being like 60% would be like great.
Yeah.
Maybe even like 70. I like the thought of living your life and the majority of it for yourself. I like that for everybody. But there is that when you have those other percents, it keeps, I think it keeps you a good person. Like, I feel like 100%, I'm like in the right ways, right? Like, I think it's just what stops you from being an asshole, really. Because there's a difference between, in my opinion, this is my point of view, living your life for yourself while still having compassion and still letting your actions, like realizing that it does affect other people. And I'm not talking about other people's egos. I'm not talking about what other people are comfortable with you doing. I'm talking about like actually causing harm to other people and not just like the tag. There's things that you can do and not do. You can give, like, as parents, being like parenting your kids, like that's a big deal. Like you need to have that for them. There's things that go. So if you have the majority It doesn't matter like what majority, like 60-70% of where you're living for you, you're still living your best life and you're still teaching your kids and leading by example around you that you matter, you get to be a priority, but it stops you from being like, I don't give a fuck about you. I don't give a fuck about, because how are you going to connect with anybody if it just doesn't matter? Now, that doesn't mean that if you have something that you are strong and you're passionate and that you know this is your path and this person knows that this is not what works for them, that you're supposed to let that go for them. But I'm talking about like your daily choices, like having empathy for other people it's kind of what makes you a human. So I think that's a good balance. And I think there are times you're like 80-90%. And you can like, ooh, sometimes you have to be though. And I think those swings come from the times you're 30%. Because I like feel the same. That there's so much that I feel I don't matter in it. And then when I decide that it's like, whoa, then it becomes all about me. Because I need to breathe. It's like when you're struggling underwater and you're just like going to do anything you can to pop your head up just to take that one breath. And so I think it's just that kind of balance. And so you do these extreme where you don't give a fuck about anybody else because you need to breathe for a minute. And then it's like, whew, and then the shame hits. So you start coming down and then that brings you back down to the 30, 20, 10, none percent. So how do you find the balance in that? So you are making yourself your priority, but still showing, like still having empathy for other people and knowing that your actions affect other people.
Yes, your actions do affect other people, and having empathy for people. Like there's a part of me that really wants to say you can be 100% about yourself all of the time and still be a good person and still have empathy for other people. And still acknowledge that your choices and actions affect other people, and that's okay.
Show me somebody that is like that, though.
Well, I said that there's part of me that wants to believe that.
Okay.
Whether or not that's true or not, I don't really know if I believe that.
I don't know that it's not true.
Right?
I just haven't seen it.
Because I always, when we do these little thought experiments about this kind of stuff, I always base my actions and decisions off of what I would want for our kids.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. So I like the idea that all of our kids can live 100% for themselves, and they're not basing any of their choices or actions off of how it's going to affect other people.
What about when they become parents?
That's the caveat, right? At some point you become a parent and your life changes drastically.
Some people.
And then at that point, however, if you're a parent, I think you can still be not just a good parent, but I think you can still be a really good parent and really be there for your kids and be empathetic and be understanding and be loving and nurturing and all those different things and still live your life for yourself.
100%?
I think so. And I think that is a huge lesson that you can then impart upon that child as well. I don't know how it could work.
Yeah, I don't see that.
But I think it can.
I think that the model that parents do and that is more like they disappear. Mm-hmm. Like so many times, like every bit of your identity just disappears and all you are is mom. Yeah. Or maybe all you are is dad. I don't know. But I can speak for like what I've experienced. And I think I thought that was the way to do it. And I thought that was the only way to do it. You have to absolutely suffer and live, and nothing is about you anymore. And it is 100% about your kids. And, think about, people having kids young, their life ends at 20, 25, or even 30, whenever it is. But I thought that was healthy.
Yeah.
I thought that was what being a good person, being a good parent was. Now I realize
so different, right?
It's not only not healthy, it's harmful because you're teaching your children to do that same thing, that very same thing. So their life is going to stop. And so there's that balance that I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. It can't be all over here, but I think it can't be all over here. I don't think it's the 100%. I don't know. But that I cannot see.
Well, I think
how you can live 100% for yourself and not be a complete narcissist.
See, I think the difference between the way that you're seeing it and the way you're thinking about it as opposed to the way that I am is that I think oftentimes, at least in my mind, the way that it is it's more about a mindset rather than just actual things that they're doing. So, like, I'm going to paint some scenarios for you, okay? You're a parent, and so you care for your kids, and you take care of your kids, and you do things for your kids, and you make your kids a priority in your life, but they're not the only priority in your life.
Yes.
And you have a slew of other things that are still important to you and specific to you that you make a priority, which means sometimes you're choosing yourself over your kids, and you're making your things a priority over them because you're teaching them that skill set. Sometimes you
But you're saying sometimes, not 100% of the time.
But what I'm saying is the 100% of the time is the mindset. The 100% of the time is almost like the energy with which you move through life. It's not just every single time I do exactly what I want to do and you don't get to do what you want to do.
Okay.
Because the truth of the matter is, even if we look at it from like the back end of it, where if I were, I mean, our kids are important to me. So that's a priority to me. That's like important to me. That is fuel. Like by caring about our kids and making them a priority in my life, that is a focused act almost, right? Because they're important to me. If I just wrote our kids off and said, fuck it, I'm done. I'm not going to worry about my kids anymore. I'm only going to focus on myself because I'm 100% of the time on me.
Yeah.
That would actually be a massive detriment to me. Yeah. Right? So even if I lived a life where I was no longer concerning myself about what my kids were doing or what choices they made, and, you know, that would be like an act of self-harm to myself. It wouldn't be an act of self-love and putting myself first. And so there's a part of it that even by making them a priority and caring about them because of how important they are to me and because of what they do for me, it's an act of self-love. So it's the mindset of making myself a priority. And it doesn't always have to be in these literal, actionable ways of like, sorry, today we're doing this thing because I want to, you know, like, for example, oftentimes, unfortunately, I shouldn't say unfortunately, I don't know if it's good or bad. But oftentimes when the three of us, me, you, and Asher, sit down to watch a movie at night or something like that, I typically pick what movie I want to watch. I take into consideration what he's going to be interested in and what he's going to watch as well. But very rarely will I be like, hey, buddy, what do you want to watch? And then go with what he wants to watch. Because I don't want to watch that stuff. And it's hard for me to sit there for 2 hours and watch some movie that I don't want to watch. But what's important to me is spending time with him. And I want to spend time with him. And so I justify it, whether it's right or wrong. But what I'm saying is there's a mindset that I think you can embody where you're making yourself a priority over everything else and living your life in that way and still be a good parent, still be a good partner, still be a good person. You're not some narcissistic asshole that nobody wants to be around because you're, you know, so selfish and focused only on your own happiness.
Yeah.
I see that you disagree with me by your reaction and or your body language.
So I disagree with you.
I'm not saying that's what I'm doing either. This is a thought experiment.
Okay.
I'm trying to think about in the context of what do I want my kids to do when they're adults?
Sometimes let their kids pick the fucking movies.
If it makes them happy, meaning our kids, not our grandkids. If it makes our kids happy to let their kids pick the movie, then absolutely do that. You're looking at me like I'm a monster.
No, we disagree really hard here.
And I think that's the difference between, I don't know.
I'm like,
But I don't do it all the time.
No.
There's times where, I mean, just the simple
you do
thing
it more
of
than you
picking
think.
movies.
But the thing is I don't know what your dialogue is because you talked about when we were coming back from Reno, right? And how you decided you wanted McDonald's. And that was it. And it was like this big deal because you wanted McDonald's and we could go someplace else if we wanted, but you were going to get McDonald's. And that wasn't the only stop. But how it plays out is how it normally, like you just said, we're going to McDonald's, and it's like, all right, figure out what we want from McDonald's because that's where we're going. So it doesn't even occur that there's other choices. So the mindset that actually happens in here doesn't come out here.
You say it doesn't even occur that there's other choices.
Yes.
So what if by showing just Asher in this example that he can make a decision about what he wants and then he can like get it?
Yeah.
Or do you know what I mean? Make that decision and do that thing. Even as a father down the road when he's got kids and a family and a spouse and everything.
I don't want him to think that when he's the dad that he's the only decision maker, though.
But see, that's not what I'm trying to impart.
I know.
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it right. And the truth of the matter is, Steph,
I'm just having a hard time meeting you in your thought process.
well, I think the problem that you're having is that you and I have been together for quite a while now. And there was a good chunk of our relationship where I wasn't doing this in this conscious, healthy way. I was doing it in a very different way. Mm. And it wasn't.
And now I'm supposed to know the difference.
Right. And now you're supposed to be like, oh, I see. This is the time when you're not an asshole. And
that's not what I'm saying.
I was an asshole, though.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I don't understand what the dialogue is. I only know my interpretations of the outward actions.
Yeah.
And through my filters. I
so
don't
the
know
outward
what's happening
action,
behind the scenes.
The outward action oftentimes is, well, it's Dad's way or the highway. This is what we're doing. Dad decided that this is what's going on, right? Right?
I don't know what to say.
I'm
panicking. I'm going to take a nap. No.
Got your little bed right there.
It's for meditating. It's comfortable.
That's where Steph comes and meditates. Means sleeps.
Stevie looked at that. She's like, why is there a bed in here? I'm like, it's not a bed. It's a comfy spot to
It's a meditative napping spot. But that's how I used to operate and do things. And even then I was still operating like in the background. The thing that went on in the back of my head was like, I know it's best if everybody just does what I tell them to and goes along with what I have planned. Everybody will be happy, right? Because I'm trying to make everybody in the entire family happy.
Yes.
So I'm trying to make decisions based off of the state and well-being of 5 different people.
Yes.
Not just myself.
Mm-hmm. True.
So
and that's a lot of pressure.
That is a lot of pressure. And even though I had love in my heart in the way that I was executing it, it did not play out that way. And it didn't work that way oftentimes. And oftentimes I was a jerk about things when I could have had a lot more flexibility and a lot more, even just, just be softer about things. It would have gone a long way. But the mindset now is more about what is I'm thinking less about our kids and more about myself. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking about what is important to me and my well-being and my health and my state of mind and my emotional state and how, living my life dictates that and affects that. Like the simplest thing of making group a priority. There's often times where group gets in the way of our everyday life. Mm-hmm. Every single week I go to a men's group and it's a wonderful thing, but it's oftentimes it conflicts with things, but it's making myself a priority. Right. And it's focused solely on my mental health and my emotional health and my well-being, which then bleeds over.
I think I don't understand how that's relevant.
Okay. So what I'm trying to say is this, because you said you don't understand the shift in my mindset or like what's going on behind the scenes. So what's going on behind the scenes is I'm really trying to model and display behavior that I want our children to mirror as they continue to grow up. And what I want them to mirror is this dynamic of putting themselves first, even over their children, even over their partners. And in doing so, it doesn't mean that they're controlling. It doesn't mean that they're selfish or narcissistic or vindictive or rude or mean. But the fact is, I'm going to put my oxygen mask on first before I can put their oxygen mask on. I'm going to do all of these things to feed me before I feed them. Because when they are in my place down the road, I love them so much that I want them to feed themselves first. I don't want them to get lost. I don't want them to be the partner that gets walked all over. I don't want them to lose themselves into their kids and forget what's important to them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want them to do any of those things. I want them to do this balancing act between these two spaces, right?
We're not communicating well.
That's obvious. If anybody had been watching our life for the past 2 weeks.
Like, I feel like I don't understand because, like, I get the putting the oxygen mask on metaphor. I get that. Going to group one night a week, where you are still, you're making yourself a priority one night a week, right? You're making yourself that priority. And it's not just about you. It's not like you're going for a drive in the mountains all by yourself. You were going and you were showing up for other people. So you were still caring about other people and other people's needs. So you're using examples that prove my point, and I feel like aren't proven the 100%. You're showing compassion examples and you're showing healthy examples, which is what I'm talking about. But you're saying that that fits your 100% you first model.
Mindset.
And it doesn't work. I can't
Mindset.
I don't understand it.
Mindset.
It's like okay.
That's what I'm talking about.
But it doesn't make sense.
Mindset doesn't make sense?
No, mindset makes sense. The way you're describing it, I can't connect the dots. I feel like you're describing what I'm saying. But you're saying it's 100%. But then you'll describe things like, I almost don't think you know what you're talking about.
I don't know what I'm talking about. I mean, the whole beginning of this thing was like, I might be at 50%. Right.
I think that is great.
I'm not at 100%.
I think 50 to 70.
And I don't even know if you're supposed to be at 100% in regards to this topic.
Well, you just said you are.
I didn't. The whole beginning conversation was, I think I'm probably at about 50, maybe 60 on a good day. But the reality is it's probably more like 30.
And I hope you're more 50, 60,
yeah,
70, like that.
And I said,
think fluctuating between 50 and 70.
As a thought experiment, I think it's possible to embody 100% and still be a good person and still be a good parent and a good partner.
And that's where my head went.
Yeah. That's when your head
You can't do 0.
0's not good, right?
So if 0's not good, why do you think 100% is good?
So we need the balance in the middle?
I don't know that it has to be in the middle, but I think it needs to fluctuate in the middle.
Yeah.
I think it needs to ebb and flow. I think there's times that you are the priority and that it goes back and forth. But what you, like your description of things, for me, looked like you were ebbing and flowing within that middle ground, that 50 to 70%.
Yeah.
But saying it was 100, I'm like, that doesn't, my brain cannot understand.
Well, maybe it is just that simple, that it's just a balancing act between the two ends, right? The two opposite ends of the spectrum, where we shouldn't be at 0% because that's the parent that is, or the partner or the person, the individual that has just lost themselves and has no knowledge of what they really want in life. And
that happens so much.
That does. I mean, they're a shell of a person, right?
Yeah.
And maybe 100% is the opposite end, where they're a fucking narcissistic asshole that nobody likes to live with, and they have no consideration or compassion for other people. We've met people like that.
Yes.
And it's like, nobody likes those people. Nobody wants to hang out with those people. So maybe that 50 to 70 range is probably right where we need to be.
So how do we get you there more consistently if you feel like you're 30? How do we
get you?
How do we get you there more consistently?
What would you say you're at?
I think that you need to quit avoiding my question.
Am I avoiding the question?
You're avoiding it. You're blame shifting? You're a blame shifter?
What I think we should get for the podcast is an interrogation light, and we'll be able to turn it on, and suddenly it's just the Sprite spotlight that pops on either one of us.
Okay, but I want to hold the button clicker.
Well, we'll have a whole track lighting system on our studio.
But I get the clicker.
You'll get the clicker.
Because I'm going to keep it on you.
I think that's what I'm doing, is I'm practicing getting into that space more consistently, where I'm making peace with some of the decisions that I am doing that I feel, even though the reality is they don't, right? It's the fear again.
Okay.
I'm making decisions about some things in my life that I'm choosing to live, be, embody, express, show up as, no longer have to hide anymore, because it's important to me.
Yeah.
And the fear is that it will adversely affect our children.
Yeah.
But I'm choosing to still proceed through that fear and with that fear because it's important to me. And so I think that's part of the keeping that balance between those two things. Because the truth of the matter is, even if it does adversely affect our children, that's a very, very important lesson for them to learn of be who you are, regardless of how it affects other people.
To a point.
To a point. Exactly.
I may be a little more on this side.
Yeah, you may be a little bit more closer to that 20%. Because that's the thing that you struggle with.
It's scary.
But think about how you want them to live,
Yes.
right?
I also...
Be who you are and fuck everybody else, regardless of how they think.
When it's a matter of who you are, yeah.
Right? And who you are.
Be who you are,
like,
regardless. Be who you are. You don't need to...
The things that I'm talking about.
I'm talking about like actions in life, what you choose, whether it's like McDonald's for dinner, which...
Can we get McDonald's for dinner tonight?
Do you want to?
I don't want McDonald's.
You can. No, like this is, I'm definitely not saying be 50% of who you are. That's definitely not what I'm trying to communicate.
No,
and I wonder if that's what came off.
not at all.
And I be 100% of who you are.
And what I'm trying to communicate is live your life for yourself, not for anybody else, including our children.
Yes, but when you bring people into your life and when you create people and when you choose
Live
people
your
in your life and you say you matter, you can't say you matter only when it's convenient for me.
But that's not what you're saying.
That's what it sounds like you're saying.
That's what it feels like.
Okay. Yes, that's what it feels like you're saying.
That's not what it sounds like.
To me, it does.
That's what it feels like to you. It feels like you have got to live for them.
I'm not saying to live for them. You've got to live for yourself. Yes, I understand that. But you can't, like, being who you are, but when you make decisions and when you choose things, if you're going to bring people into your life and say they matter, then you have to show them they matter. As long as they're showing you, if they're harmful to you and say that everything is their way and you're not loving them enough, if everything is in their way, then there's an unhealthy balance. But when you are in a relationship, whether it's partners, whether it's parents, whether it's friends, whether it's siblings, whatever the relationship are, when you are in a relationship that can be blood or choice or both or neither, whatever, when you're in that relationship and you're saying you matter to me, then you're going to matter to me all the time. There are times, I'm going to have to do what's best for me in situations, but you are going to matter to me all the time. Not just when I don't have anything better going on.
I totally agree. And I think the only delineation, the only difference between what you and I are trying to get our point across is you can still have that person matter to you and make decisions that are going to be hard for them.
I agree with that. But not every decision do they go left.
Fucking A.
We gotta go get one of our
kids that matter to us.
Yes.
Right now we're making a decision for him, not for us. Because if it was up to me, we'd sit here and record for another 20 minutes.
We would not.
I try to convince you of this.
You would be like, you know what? We've been going for this long. The battery's gonna go. I gotta pee.
You got to agree with me. Otherwise, I didn't win. I'm teasing. I'm teasing. I'm teasing. I love you.
I love you.
Thank you for listening, folks.
Thank you.
We are almost finished with this year, and then 2021 is going to be a super fantastic fucking year for everybody.
Fantastic.
And we have a few more episodes this year. We're probably going to try to figure out some way to wrap up the year in some fun, big way. Who knows what that looks like?
Fun?
Maybe next week we'll act, because we hinted at rope. I don't know if you caught the earlier phonetic spelling of rope.
Don't teach them. Our super secret code will be public.
Right?
Because nobody else
I guarantee that if we sit here and phonetically spell, there's going to be people that can't follow it. Because you and I are really good at it.
We are.
Yeah.
Well.
We are. We're really, really good at it. Anyways,
okay.
We'll talk about that next week, maybe. Hopefully.
Maybe.
We'll remember.
Maybe. Can we show items?
Yeah, let's
or
do that.
Or is that like...
Should we do a show and tell next week?
Can you do that, though?
Oh,
or
we
is
totally
that
can.
like... Yeah. How do you like protect that so kids don't jumble on?
It doesn't matter at all.
That matters.
No, it doesn't. We're totally doing a show and tell episode next week.
We're going to have more of a conversation about why I think that matters.
I'll tell you why it doesn't. Thanks for listening. Everybody go out and have a beautiful, wonderful day. I love you.
Have a good day.